Randy Orton on his first backstage meeting with a top Raw star, Alberto Del Rio reveals the truth about his recent assault charges, and Mickie James was told women's wrestling doesn't make money before her WWE release. Hello everyone, Jose G here bringing you today's top stories in today's Sportskeeda Wrestling News Roundup. Randy Orton on his first backstage meeting with a top Raw star. Randy Orton was a guest on the latest episode of The Kurt Angle Show. The 14-time WWE Champion shared his thoughts on his newest WWE Tag Team partner, Matt Riddle. Orton started by praising Matt Riddle's skill set. The Viper believes the original bro has already surpassed the work of all recent NXT call-ups, saying, quote, Matt Riddle, yeah, I think he's going to do real fantastic. I think he has already kind of outshined most of his little class of NXT that have kind of come up over the last year. I mean, you have a lot of those guys doing well, end quote. Randy Orton also revealed details the first time that he saw Matt Riddle backstage at a WWE show in Miami. The WWE veteran recalled having both the entire NXT team and main roster talent backstage at the event. Randy Orton noted that there were talents at the venue not scheduled to perform, but wrestlers always carry their gear and practice predictability cramped up in the locker room. Randy Orton was excited to be in the company of the up-and-coming talent from NXT. He even attempted to break the ice with Matt Riddle. Orton stated that he walked up to Riddle and acknowledged him with a playful interaction. Much to Orton's surprise, Riddle, with bloodshot eyes, nodded his head and kept walking without giving a verbal response. Riddle's initial reaction wasn't too pleasant. The veteran took Riddle's gesture as an apparent lack of respect. Randy Orton had expected an exchange of warm pleasantries with Riddle. Instead, he got disrespectful vibes. Orton saying, quote, me especially being a vet, being around for a while, and I see this, and now I already got a hard-on for these guys, right? So it doesn't help when I walk by Matt Riddle and my olive branch was basically me looking at Matt, and I just say, I go, oh, there he is, just kind of an icebreaker, expecting maybe a, oh hey Randy, my name is Matt, nice to meet you. But instead, Matt kind of barely, with those bloodshot eyes glanced over at me. He is just like, and just kept walking. I remember thinking, that mother effer, end quote. Randy Orton wasn't a fan of Matt Riddle for a very long time due to their awkward first meeting. However, the former NXT star arrival on Monday Night Raw changed their relationship for the better. Randy Orton explained that he has grown thoroughly to like Matt Riddle after spending almost a year with the former UFC fighter behind the scenes. Matt Riddle is no stranger to controversy. He has gained notoriety for his reported backstage altercations with Brock Lesnar and Goldberg. Randy Orton, however, changed his perception of Riddle, and the star now finds themselves in a unique team called RK Bro. Riddle shared what has been his toughest match since joining WWE. Riddle has been on the main roster for almost a year now and has spent the majority of his time on Raw. Since joining the Red brand, he has some exceptional matches, some of which were devastating and hard-hitting. Speaking to WWE Now India, the original bro recalled some of the toughest matches he had since moving up from NXT. Riddle specifically singled out 2 matches that left him feeling broken and another feud he described as his favorite so far. One of the matches was on the go-home show before Survivor Series on Raw, and the other was the Survivor Series match itself. On the go-home show, Team Raw faced off against Retribution, a match that Riddle claims broke his sternum. He also remembers feeling like his body broke into a million pieces when he went up against Otis of Team SmackDown during the traditional 5-on-5 Survivor Series elimination match, by saying, quote, there's been a couple of situations that even though they weren't brutal, they felt really brutal. For example, the Survivor Series match this past year, even though we shut out SmackDown, they didn't even beat one of us. Raw dominated. Before the match, we wrestled Retribution and Retribution crushed me. They hit me with this cannonball move and they crushed my sternum. I mean, I could barely move. Then we got into Survivor Series match. I remember Otis. I couldn't even hurt Otis. I was kicking him in the chest and he wasn't responding, and then he tackled me and I thought my body blew up into a million pieces, end quote. However, the toughest opponent he has ever faced was Sheamus, and his match with him has been so far his favorite. Riddle lost the United States Championship to Sheamus at WrestleMania 37. The match was great to watch and had an amazing finish. It's no surprise that he picked the Celtic Warrior as his toughest opponent. Riddle has had a successful time since joining the main roster. WWE has given him somewhat of a goofy character and has ran with it. He has had several high-profile matches, his match at WrestleMania 37 against Sheamus being one of the best yet. Since losing the United States Championship, Riddle has been hinting at a possible tag team partnership with Randy Orton. The WWE Universe got to see the duo in action on this week's edition of Raw. The duo is now going by the name RK Bro, and Riddle has big plans for the team. Alberto Del Rio reveals the truth about recent assault charges. Alberto Del Rio, also known as Alberto El Patron, has re-emerged after a lengthy spell of absence. The former WWE superstar caught up with Lucha Libre Online's Hugo Sabinovich for a massive interview, and we mean massive, as Del Rio spoke for an hour and a half. As covered earlier, Alberto Del Rio revealed many explosive details about his past relationship with Paige. Del Rio also spoke about the recent sexual abuse charges that were leveled against him by another ex-girlfriend. Alberto Del Rio was charged with 1 count of aggravated kidnapping and 4 counts of sexual assault and was arrested back in May of 2020. The charges were dropped by the unnamed woman in November of last year. Alberto Del Rio disclosed more details on the reality of the situation in his recent interview with Sabinovich. The former WWE champion admitted that he cheated on his partner, and his actions led to a household filled with anger and resentment. Del Rio stated, quote, "It was a problem between my partner and I, in which unfortunately I made a mistake. I committed infidelity in our own house that caused anger, resentment, and excessive hatred of the person who was supposed to be the woman of all my life." End quote. Del Rio was quick to know that his ex-partner dropped the charges within the week of initial reports. However, he could not tell his side of the story due to the legal proceedings in place. Alberto Del Rio's ex-girlfriend also apparently told authorities that the wrestler was not involved in any kidnapping incident. The 43-year-old star squashed all rumors of being responsible for physical or sexual assault on his former partner and her son. Del Rio added, quote, "She dropped the charges. She did not just drop them, she had the courage to speak to the authorities and tell them that it was for domestic violence, but that at no time there was a kidnapping because we had lived together for a long time and there was never an assault. Sexual, that this rumor that is out there is ridiculous about me trying to affect her son, little Matias. The boy was not even in the house." End quote. Alberto Del Rio seems more than ready to move on from his recent experiences. The former WWE champion is scheduled to face recently released Andrade this July. Carmella explains why she was rocked by WWE release of a popular duo. A promising partnership between Carmella and Billie Kay was seemingly blooming before the latter's WWE release earlier this month. Carmella looked to set the ditch as the sexy persona for the chance to let her personality shine through WWE TV after a lack of appearances. However, Kay, along with 9 other stars, were let go on April 15th. The date marked exactly 1 year after WWE parted ways with several other names due to budget cuts during the COVID-19 pandemic. Speaking on the Bellas podcast, Carmella told Brie and Nikki Bella that she was excited to start a new gimmick alongside Billie Kay following WrestleMania 37, saying, quote, "I don't know what the right or wrong thing is to say. All I can speak is from my experience and that we were super excited for this story, and I felt like, okay, I'm done with this whole sexy gimmick that they wanted me to do, which is fine. It's fun to be sexy, but I feel like I wanted to show my personality more. I wanted to show a little bit more of a fun side." End quote. Alongside Kay's departure, WWE's release of other half of the IIconics, Peyton Royce, also hit a nerve with Carmella, saying, quote, "I was looking forward to do that with Billie. Like you said, our entrance alone, she was cracking me up. So I was really looking forward to seeing where that was going to go, and unfortunately, we can't do that anymore. Even Peyton, those two were some of my closest friends since they got here. So it was the first time I was really rocked by a release." End quote. Mickie James and Chelsea Green joined Billie Kay and Peyton Royce from the women's division released by WWE earlier this month. Samoa Joe headlined the list of the male stars, including Kalisto, Tucker, Mojo Rawley, Bo Dallas, and Wesley Blake. While she won't be prompting smiles from the WWE Universe in the near future, Billie Kay is destined to shine wherever she ends up. Once her 90-day non-compete clause expires, expect further entertainment from the excitable Aussie. Mickie James was told women's wrestling doesn't make money before her WWE release. Before her release earlier this month, someone in WWE told Mickie James that women's wrestling doesn't make money, and WWE Evolution was the company's lowest rated pay-per-view ever. Mickie James had a lot to say today on GAW TV with Lisa Marie Varon and SoCal Val. During the show, James revealed that she pitched numerous ideas to WWE before her release that never came to fruition, including an all-female brand, saying, quote, "Anything I've pitched, they weren't into it. I wanted to find a balance in between. There was a moment where I said, what if we do an all-female brand? If I could help lead that up and have an awesome team of women, we have the talent, tools, and facilities. It would really help all the girls who are not getting television time. This one person says to me, they're never going to do it, ever. Women's wrestling doesn't make money. WWE Evolution was the lowest rated pay-per-view ever in WWE. I get what you're trying to do, but I don't understand why you're fighting so hard for it. You should pay the cards you're dealt with and see if there is a way to incorporate that within a show rather than fight for it to be its own show. I just realized that every decision they do, a lot of it is business and how it falls in line with business. I'm just disappointed as a whole with being made to feel old with the pens and the walker and the whole ageism thing. I think we missed out on a lot of moments." End quote. Mickie James claimed that Vince McMahon called her personally after the trash bag incident last week to provide assurances that it wasn't what he thought of her. On a sad note, Mickie James revealed that the company still employs the person responsible for sabotaging her last WWE run. Thanks for watching today's Sportskeeda Wrestling News Roundup. For more news stories and exclusive content, be sure to follow us on all social media. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Download the Sportskeeda app for the most up-to-date stories in the world of wrestling.